Bone grafts generally work on these three principles. Osteogenesis, that means you put in something that synthesizes new bone directly. Osteoinduction, that means you put in something that brings local host stem cells into the picture and they start making bone. And osteoconduction, that means you put in something that only gives a framework or a structure. So what do we expect of anything that's going to work like a bone substitute? Bone substitute means you don't have native bone, so you're going to put something in its place. One, most important, it should not be, it shouldn't generate an immune response. It should be cost effective. It should go away at some point of time. It should be easy for the surgeon to use. It should be as close to natural host bone as possible. You should make out after your surgery that you have put it and where you have put it. And ideally speaking, it should be all three: osteoconductive, osteoinductive, and osteogenic. But let us hope that it should at least be osteoconductive and osteoinductive. So what all can be used? Right on top over there is what a normal bone is made of. Organic and inorganic matrix. That's organic stuff is collagen, inorganic stuff is hydroxyapatite, and then there are cells. So what all can be used in place of that original bone? You can use bone grafts, which can be auto, allo, and xeno. You can use ceramics. So ceramics are this group of structures all made of calcium phosphate and then going into further microstructures. So beta TCP, that's tricalcium phosphate, hydroxyapatite, a combination of HA and TCP, calcium phosphate, calcium sulfate. You can use growth factors like demineralized matrix and DMPs. And then of course you can use mesenchymal stem cells, stuff that you can inject and that throws bone. So I'll just cover all of these in short. Of course, we all know bone autograft is gold standard. Why it's good? Because our body can accept it well because it belongs to us. And it does all three: osteogenic, osteoinductive, and osteoconductive. What's bad? Yes, of course, there is some donor side morbidity. In bachus, you don't find enough graft maybe. It adds to your operative time. And if you want lots of bone, you can't take all of it from one place. Then there's allograft. So allografts and xenografts solve that problem of limited availability. You can use as much as possible. So the good is good volume. The bad is it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to either another human or it belongs to another animal. So of course there are immune and infective related risks. The difference between bone allografts and xenografts is that xenograft is coming from bovine bone. It's coming from the cow. So it probably has more immune related risk than an allograft that's coming from another human. So practically, we can use Tata bone graft. If you send a patient to Tata Bone Bank with a letter, generally speaking for private patients, 20 cc of graft, 6,600 rupees. Initially, they used to give us a lot of femoral heads. Now femoral heads are a little scarce. So you may end up with the TKR slices of proximal tibia, right? Bovine grafts, Surgiware is one of the oldest companies that's giving us G-Bone. So G-Bone, again, you can use as much as possible because it's not expensive, around 2,000 bucks for 10 cc. The problem is maybe some drainage, maybe the body doesn't accept it very well. Then we come to the next group, that's ceramics. So these ceramics are basically made from calcium phosphate. It's calcium phosphate going on to calcium biphosphate that goes on to tricalcium phosphate. So beta TCP is an amorphous powder. Because it's powder, it has no strength, but it absorbs very quickly. That beta TCP, when it's made into a crystal structure, becomes HA. Now, as soon as it's crystal, it has great strength, but it does not resorb. All ceramics are either beta TCP or HA or a combination of beta TCP and HA. Now, when companies sell you this concept, they say that porosity is very important. So micropores and macropores. And if the pores are of the right size, that means that synthetic bone substitute is sort of closer to what we originally have, like our natural bone. Okay, and all these ceramics, however they make it, at the end of the day, the strong ones, they say that, hey, we have made a very strong synthetic bone substitute. It will still have a compression strength of around 5 to 40. What's the normal cortical bone compression strength? 150 to 200. So of course there's no match between the natural host bone strength and the bone substitute. Now what are the ceramics available as of now for us to buy? There's Kronos, Allogron R, Triosite and BioOne. So that Depue and Zimmer and Biocomposites. SBM is a company from France. So out of these, all three are pure beta TCP. Because they are beta TCP, they are sort of softer. So what trioside says, it's a combination of HA and TCP. So it is sort of stronger. All of them say that, hey, we have the perfect micropore, macropore combination. So we resemble the host bone as much as possible. Because trioside has HA, so the resorption is a little slower. But the pure beta TCPs, the resorption around 6 months to 1.5 years. Available all in granules. And you can see the prices around 5 cc cost around 6 grand and 10 cc cost around 10 grand. Now, there are specific ceramics sold by companies that you can use only during high tibial osteotomies. So, Ospherion is available by Arthrex, Otis by that same company from France, SBM, and Triosite is also available in wedges. I think the picture there, that's a chamfered wedge. That's available only with Arthrex. But if you see the prices there, Triosite 12 to 15,000 seems to be the most affordable in all of these. Again, all of them talk about these ideal pore sizes and stuff. Arthrex goes on to say that we have the strongest wedge available. But if you compare it to native host bone 150 to 200 megapascals, whereas the Arthrex bone wedge is 15 to 20. So of course there's no comparison. So we covered ceramics made of beta TCP and HA. Now there is a third component, calcium phosphate. So calcium phosphate we spoke of goes on to beta TCP, which is an amorphous powder. If you put in a special liquid, it forms nanocrystalline HA, basically HA, but finer HA. So again, these are available in pastes. Because it has HA, it doesn't resorb. It takes time. But because it's a paste, you can fill cavity and voids with it. They also say because it's not normal HA, it's nanocrystalline HA, they say that it's probably more osteoconductive. I guess that's more hypothesis. So what are the two things available? There's Quickset by Arthrex and Genex by Biocomposites. So Quickset is a classic calcium phosphate cement, good compressive strength. Because it has HA, resorption is slow. 30,000 and 40,000 is the rough cost. The advantage, they have a dual syringe which can be probably used for 2-3 cases. Genex, meanwhile, is not only calcium phosphate going on to nanocrystalline HA. In fact, the other way around, they say they don't have HA in it at all. It's a combination of calcium sulfate and TCP, and it resorbs. So it's the only putty that resorbs. Again, the costs have been listed there. The next kind of ceramic is calcium sulfate. Calcium sulfate is completely different from TCP and HA. It's not similar, it looks similar to bone, but it doesn't do all of that TCP and HA does. Also, calcium sulfate resorbs very quickly. So when they initially made it, they said that calcium sulfate will resorb in 1 to 3 months. It will leave calcium-rich fluid, which will incite inflammation, and that inflammation will lead to bone healing. Now there are papers that say that calcium sulfate resorbs so fast, there is actually no time only for bone to form. So in a way, now we've come to realize, okay, since it resorbs, why not just use it as a carrier or a scaffold? So you can use calcium sulfate to put in, to use it for delivery of antibiotics or use it for delivery of growth factors. So what's the calcium sulfate available? Stimulant. So stimulant beads you can make. You get a liquid and you get a powder. When you mix them, you can make 3 sizes of beads using this thing over there. There's a nice kit, and you can use it as a vehicle or a carrier for antibiotics. How much time it resorbs? Again, 1 to 3 months. What is the cost? Around 5 cc beads, around 15,000. One important slide over here I wanted to make. Stimulant has now come out with an official document that says you can mix antibiotics in a particular way. So if you're using powder, vancomycin, then they say don't use our powder, the powder that we supply, just use our liquid. If you want to use gentamicin or tobramycin, which come in vials, liquids, they say use our powder and directly use only genta or tobra, and you can form the beads. So ceramics had TCP, HA, calcium phosphate, calcium sulfate. Now, all of these are inorganic, calcium. Then there is another compound, group of compounds called polymers. So bone is made of collagen and or inorganic hydroxyapatite. So collagen is a polymer. Collagen is a natural polymer. There are synthetic polymers also, PLLA, PLA, PGLA, more used for interference screws, bio screws that we use in arthroscopy. So we are not going to dwell into that. And now there are companies that are coming out with composites. So HA plus the collagen. So they are saying, oh, we are the closest you can have to natural bone. And that's where a lot of research is focusing. So we covered bone grafts that can be used. We covered ceramics that can be used. Next, we move on to growth factors. So what's demineralized bone matrix? So you get the Tataka allograft that we spoke of. That allograft is put in HCl. When you put it in acid, all the minerals go away. So what is remaining is that collagen. So hydroxyapatite that I told you of the bone and collagen. So all the minerals are out. Basic structure is remaining, but the basic structure has growth factors. So that combination is belonging not to another animal, to another human. So less immune reaction, no mechanical strength, but the growth factors, very important. Maybe it's not only osteoconductive, it is osteoinductive as well. So as of now, this is sold only to dentists by Tata Hospital in very small quantities, only 0.6 cc for $1,000. If an orthopedic surgeon tries to procure it, it is a little difficult, but theoretically, it would be nice to use this in small quantities for fracture healing as well. The bone morphogenic protein that is available. So what happens is when bone is put in HCl, all the minerals go out. Whatever remains has growth factors. The two important growth factors that remain inside are BMP2 and BMP7. BMP7 not available with us, BMP2 available. So Medtronic has infused BG, which is recombinant human BMP2, and you can see the prices between 1 lakh and 1.25 lakhs. It's a BMP on a collagen scaffold. That's osteoinductive, it's a growth factor. Last, in that entire table, we had mesenchymal stem cells. So RMS is a company that has come out with Osron Osgrow. We do it at Apollo Hospital. I've not done a single procedure as yet, but I know the theory behind it. I have borrowed the slides from Ashish sir here. So what happens is we take 4 ml. When we used to do BMAC, we used to take around 50-60 ml from the iliac crest and then put it in a centrifuge and then use it. But that used to be used in arthroscopy as a cartilage scaffold kind of a thing. Now here we have just 4 ml of bone marrow aspirate. We send it to the company. Company is, I think, based out of Lonavala. And over there, they grow lots of mesenchymal stem cells and they send it to you back and then you implant it. What it has been theoretically used for and what has been reported in papers is something called as advanced core decompression. So you do the core decompression, you put the MSCs in, sort of says that it works, right? So again, now this entire procedure, generally at Apollo, they say it's covered under cashless, but when we go to do the paperwork, it doesn't get passed. It costs between 2.5 and 4 lakhs. So the patient always asks you, especially if you're using it, say for a hip, तो उतने cost में तो knee hip replacement हो जाएगा. So there, that's the conclusion slide, that these graft substitutes must be surrounded and covered by host bone. If you just put them on the sides away from the host bone, then soft tissues may cover them and they may not actually work like they do. Autologous bone graft is the best. If there is a huge void, use allograft because it's cheaper. You want to promote healing, there are many components available. For high tibial osteotomies, again, there are many companies. For delivering antibiotics, use Stimulan. If you have rich patients and you have some indications, you can use infuse and regrow as well. We still don't know how much stimulant to use, how much Chronos to use, how much Trioside to use. I think that's more subjective, but of experience, if anybody can give me those answers, that'll be great. All right, thank you.